Welcome to the Deep Dive. Look, this session is really crafted specifically for you, the ambitious Australian business owner, the C-level executive, maybe someone grappling with systems that, well, just haven't kept pace with your vision.
And we know many of you listening are already followers of C9, whether you found us via the podcast or maybe our business pages. We're here today to give you insights you can actually act on.
I'm Lex, and I'm joined by Vera.
Hi, everyone. Our mission today really is to distill quite a complex stack of sources. They all focus on one critical question for 2025.
Which is?
How do Australian businesses actually secure their competitive edge? And the answer we kept finding, pretty resoundingly, is bespoke software development.
Okay, yeah, let's unpack that a bit. We're moving beyond that old idea of custom tech being some sort of niche luxury item.
Right.
The data we've looked at, it shows it's now, well, the primary key to building truly scalable, future-ready Australian businesses. We're going deep on those big executive pain points. You know, things like perpetually outdated systems, operational costs that just seem to climb and climb, and those really frustrating missed growth targets that happen when your tech basically limits your ambition.
Exactly. And, the core conflict driving this whole discussion really is that choice. Do you settle for generic, off-the-shelf software, or do you craft something that perfectly fits your unique workflows, your market pressures?
That's so critical because the sources, they're pretty unambiguous, aren't they? Settling for generic software, it's just not a sustainable strategy anymore, not in this rapidly evolving Australian market.
No, that quick, easy solution you grab today often becomes the operational drag, the thing that actually causes failure tomorrow. It's a false economy.
So if we look at the research then, this shift towards bespoke, it's really driven by necessity.
It seems so. The sources indicate that inefficient technology is actively holding back something like 60% of Australian SMEs.
60%.
Yeah.
That's enormous. An enormous segment of the economy basically operating with, one hand tied behind its back.
It is staggering.
So for the executive listening right now, this isn't some abstract IT problem, is it? What does this massive inefficiency actually look like on the ground? What's the day-to-day reality that adds up to those missed targets?
Well, it's painful, and the cost is immediate. We see specific references in the source material suggesting up to 30%.
Yeah.
Think about that. 30% of a company's operational resources are just being wasted
Wasted on what exactly?
purely on inefficient, manual, or duplicated processes. Why? Because the systems they use are simply not fit for purpose. So almost a third of your budget potentially going into handling system errors, redundant data entry, dealing with frustrated teams.
30%? Wow.
Yeah.
That's revenue that could be going into expansion, marketing, finding great talent. Instead, it's just evaporating in friction.
Precisely.
We hear executives mention their key frustration triggers all the time, missing critical revenue goals because the reporting is just too slow, or that constant employee resistance to using systems they find, clunky and confusing.
And that employee resistance, it's very real. I mean, when your staff spend hours every single week manually exporting data from System A just to reconcile it by hand in System B, well, that's the definition of a data silo failure.
Right.
And it directly hits morale, it hits productivity. We saw one source mention a C-level realizing their team collectively spent 3 full hours every Monday morning just exporting and cleaning data from 2 different systems to generate basic sales projections.
3 hours every Monday.
That's where your 30% goes. It's death by 1,000 cuts.
Okay, so let's zoom in on the specific Australian context then. The sources seem to highlight 2 critical areas where off-the-shelf software really fails our local businesses. You mentioned integration.
Yes, integration failures are perhaps the most common headache we hear about. Generic software, it's typically designed for the lowest common denominator, globally speaking.
Right, makes sense.
Which means it often really struggles to connect seamlessly with existing crucial tools that Australian businesses rely on, whether that's their current CRM, core accounting software like Xero, or maybe specific sales tools like Salesforce.
And when that integration fails, what happens? You get delayed reporting, reconciliation nightmares.
And most dangerously, those data silos you mentioned. Pockets of information just tracked in separate systems, unable to talk to each other.
Which slows down decision-making dramatically, I imagine.
Absolutely. You just can't get that holistic view of the customer or the operation when your key data points aren't connected. It's like flying blind sometimes.
And the second area was compliance, which is obviously non-negotiable here.
Exactly. The sources specifically reference the evolving Australian data regulations, particularly the Privacy Act. You need systems built with those local requirements top of mind from the start.
And generic systems often weren't.
Often not specifically. So if your system wasn't designed for those requirements, you're constantly playing this expensive, risky game of patch and pray. You're trying to retrofit a global solution into a complex, local regulatory environment.
Which is not only costly, but, as you say, poses significant risks. Reputation, compliance status.
Huge risks.
Okay, so if compliance issues and, frankly, avoiding losing 30% of your resources are the sticks driving this change, what's the carrot? What does the upside actually look like? This leads us towards the transformative power of bespoke solutions, right?
Right. The carrot is strategic differentiation. It's about shifting the whole narrative. You start viewing custom technology not as an expense, but as a foundational investment in future efficiency, future growth, and, importantly, competitive insulation.
Okay, but let's inject a bit of healthy skepticism. The sources do acknowledge the initial investment range for bespoke development. It can be substantial figures like $50K up to $500K are mentioned. That's a significant initial outlay.
It absolutely is.
So how do we assure a CEO or anyone holding the purse strings that this high upfront cost isn't just swapping one kind of complexity for another, maybe a different sort of technical debt?
That's a vital executive question. And the assurance really comes from focusing on the long-term ROI and, critically, how the software is actually structured. See, bespoke software development isn't just coding in a back room. It's a collaborative journey.
With a partner, you mean?
Exactly. A partner committed to eliminating that operational friction we talked about. So yes, while the upfront cost is higher, the long-term payoff is potentially massive. Sources suggest bespoke solutions can cut future long-term operational costs by as much as 40%.
40%. Okay, that's a number that definitely grabs attention. How is that achieved?
Well, primarily through automation, getting rid of that 30% manual waste we discussed earlier. It's also achieved by eliminating those recurring license fees for generic software that doesn't even fit properly.
Like those annual subscriptions add up.
They really do. And you're drastically reducing manual errors and all the costs associated with fixing them. Essentially, you're paying once to build a valuable asset that works perfectly for you, rather than paying perpetually to maintain something compromised.
Okay, and here's where I think it gets really interesting for growth-focused Australian companies. Seamless scalability. Off-the-shelf systems, they tend to buckle under pressure, don't they?
They often do.
If you land a massive new contract or suddenly expand into a new market, that generic software often becomes the bottleneck, the thing holding you back.
That's because generic software is usually monolithic. It's built as one big block. Custom architecture, on the other hand, is built to be modular.
Modular architecture. What does that mean in simple terms for an executive?
It basically means future-proofing your IT budget and your capabilities. We build the core system so that new functionality, say handling 5 times the number of users, or adding a new payment gateway, or integrating a new reporting tool, can be seamlessly bolted on.
Without dismantling the entire engine.
Exactly. It's like designing a building where the foundations are already strong enough to add extra floors later. You can grow effortlessly when the opportunity arises.
And the source material specifically highlighted that a custom solution can be built to handle, what was it, a 5 times user increase without downtime.
That's right. That kind of reliability gives huge peace of mind for an expanding firm. No sleepless nights worrying if the system will crash during peak season.
And that links directly back to solving that integration problem we discussed earlier, too.
It does, absolutely. Bespoke guarantees perfect data flow because we build the software specifically to communicate with the tools you already rely on, your Xero, your Salesforce, maybe proprietary industry software you use.
So you finally break down those dreaded data silos. And what does that mean for the executive, the leader trying to steer the ship?
It means faster. Much better decision-making. Instead of getting raw, often delayed data that needs hours of manual interpretation, executives get streamlined information flow. They can have comprehensive, real-time dashboards reflecting the true state of the business across all divisions.
Real-time visibility, that's powerful.
Hugely.
And finally, there's this combination of innovation and security. Often seems like a trade-off with generic platforms, doesn't it? You wait ages for the vendor's roadmap.
Precisely. With custom solutions, you're not waiting for some massive global vendor to maybe release some update that might help you in 6 months. You can incorporate cutting-edge features now.
Like AI, for example.
Exactly. If predictive insight is your goal, you incorporate AI directly into your custom platform to analyze trends, forecast needs, whatever gives you an edge. And critically, at the same time, your security isn't some add-on or afterthought.
It's baked in from the start.
Baked in from the ground up, designed specifically to comply with Australian standards. That's vital for fostering market trust and customer loyalty. Customization lets you be proactive on security and compliance, not perpetually reactive.
It really does sound like moving from, I guess, an operational liability to a genuine strategic asset.
That's the goal.
Okay, so let's dive into how this transformation actually happens. Let's focus on C9's proven collaborative process. The sources really emphasize that this requires a trusted partner, not just a vendor who delivers some code and walks away.
Yeah, that distinction between partner and vendor is absolutely crucial. A lot of executive reluctance we see often stems from vendor mistrust. The fear of being sold some cookie cutter service or getting locked into a rigid, unhelpful contract.
Been there, done that kind of feeling.
Exactly. The source material positions C9 specifically as a collaborative partner, one committed to genuinely future-proofing the client's business. We don't just build something and disappear. We consult, we analyze, we support for the long term.
And for the Australian executive listening, I think knowing the exact methodology gives confidence. It helps minimize perceived risk. So let's detail that refined four-step approach the sources lay out. Step 1 is the deep dive analysis.
How deep is deep here? Are we just talking about process mapping?
Oh, we go significantly deeper than that. This isn't just surface-level requirements gathering. We start by truly understanding the specific pain points, not just the symptoms, like high cost, but the root causes.
Okay.
We identify the core business goals, and critically, those competitive triggers that are forcing change. Maybe a competitor just gained an edge. We look at cultural adoption readiness, the existing tech stack, external market factors. It's a really comprehensive analysis before we even think about designing any software architecture.
So you're trying to extract those non-obvious pain points too, the cultural bottlenecks, maybe those hidden reconciliation tasks that nobody really talks about but drain hours. That's absolutely key to a successful partnership, getting that deep understanding. Then, once that strategic landscape is properly mapped out, step 2 begins, the custom design with flexibility.
And this is where that modular architecture comes in.
Exactly. This is where we implement it. We prioritize scalable frameworks designed to adapt effortlessly to those 2025 trends we mentioned, maybe seamless cloud integration or future AI features. The framework itself is designed for growth, not just solving today's immediate needs.
Right. Planning ahead. Now, risk management is obviously paramount for C-levels. So step 3, rigorous testing and integration, that has to be flawless, presumably.
Flawless is the aim, absolutely. This stage is focused entirely on stability and minimizing disruption. It ensures a seamless rollout with minimal impact on your current operations. And we back this rollout with robust documentation.
Why is documentation so important?
Because it means your own in-house teams, if you have them, or future partners can easily understand, manage, and potentially build upon the system later. The goal is always stability and transparency during the transformation.
Okay, makes sense. And finally, step 4, ongoing support and optimization. The job isn't done at launch, right? The market keeps moving.
Definitely not done. Ongoing support is essential for driving that sustained efficiency and profitability we talked about. This involves regular reviews, making sure the software continues to align perfectly with your evolving business goals and the shifting competitive landscape. We treat the software as a living asset, constantly looking for opportunities for further automation and optimization.
So if we connect this whole process back to the bigger picture, what are the measurable outcomes? What results are clients actually seeing who follow this comprehensive approach? What's the proof that the investment pays off?
Well, the success stories are pretty compelling and, importantly, measurable. Clients report significant results. We're talking revenue boosts and cost reductions, often ranging from 25 up to 50%.
25 to 50%.
Yes, directly attributable to the Bespoke platform streamlining things. And critically, thinking about that scalability point, they consistently report zero downtime when scaling their operations significantly.
Wow. Zero downtime during major scaling.
It demonstrates that for Australian businesses, really tackling those legacy barriers with custom solutions, it translates directly into tangible competitive momentum.
Okay. So wrapping this up, What does this all mean for you, the Australian business leader listening right now, maybe contemplating your next move in digital transformation?
Well, I think the message is clear.
It seems to be that in 2025's hyper-competitive, data-driven landscape bespoke software, it's just not a luxury anymore. It's fundamentally the key to securing a real competitive advantage against rivals who might still be grappling with generic, ill-fitting systems.
It empowers your teams. It stops you hemorrhaging potentially 30% of your resources and that awful manual waste.
And it gives your executives those real-time analytical dashboards they desperately need to make smart, fast decisions.
Absolutely. So don't let those outdated legacy systems, or maybe the fear of the initial development costs, hold you back from realizing your business's full potential any longer. This is really the moment to transform those operational challenges into genuine strategic triumphs.
Yeah, and we strongly encourage you listening. Click that follow button right now if you haven't already. And please, share this deep dive with any other Australian business owners or C-level colleagues you think could benefit from this knowledge. Honestly, the biggest risk today often feels like inaction.
It really does. And if you want to explore more specific insights, you can definitely check out the C9 Knowledge Center on our website. There are articles detailing things like 2025 digital transformation trends for Australian SMEs and practical advice on overcoming legacy system barriers with custom apps. Lots of useful stuff there.
So our call to action is clear. It's strategic. Partner with C9 for innovative, trustworthy solutions that are tailored specifically to your unique vision and the realities of the Australian market. We are C9 Australia's leading custom software apps, integration, and database developer company.
Visit www.c9.com.au today. You can book a free consultation there. Let us collaborate with you to unlock your business's full potential and really secure your future scalability.
And maybe just a final provocative thought for you to mull over as you assess your current technology stack.
Go on.
The core barrier to innovation often isn't the difficulty of development itself. It's perhaps the failure to recognize that generic, off-the-shelf software. It's essentially a bespoke solution that was built perfectly for someone else's business, not necessarily yours.
That's a great point. Critical thinking is just so essential in this world of information overload. And applying that critical lens, asking, does my tech stack truly serve my unique strategy? Well, that's the first step towards building genuine, lasting competitive advantage.
Well said. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.
See you soon.